This is breaking news from Channel 13 Eyewitness News.
Tonight, Hoosiers and people all across America are remembering the life of a political giant. Richard Lugar passed away today at the age of 87. Lugar served as mayor of Indianapolis, and he was our state's longest-serving member of Congress. Our John Stehr spent a lot of time with Senator Lugar. He went to Russia as Lugar fought for denuclearization across the globe. John now shows us the lasting impact from Lugar's life of service.
And for the last 36 years, I've attempted to apply lessons learned.
Most Hoosiers knew Dick Lugar from his time in the U.S. Senate, but his political career started closer to home. After a few years on the school board in the mid-1960s, he ran for Indianapolis mayor.
The foundation of Indianapolis going from Indian no place, or as we used to know, Naptown, started with Dick Lugar.
They called him the boy mayor back then, just in his mid-30s, with dark hair and a vision that Indianapolis could be a major city. To help it along, he insisted on building Market Square Arena downtown when the trend was to build sports stadiums in the suburbs. Then he brought downtown and the suburbs together, triggering central Indiana's economic growth.
Most important, he's the one who expands the city out to the county lines through Unigov, something that had been tried and tried around the country, and just almost every place you couldn't get it through.
After 2 terms as mayor, Hoosiers elected Lugar to the U.S. Senate. He was just 44 years old, but he began a congressional career that rivals the likes of statesmen Daniel Webster and Henry Clay.
No one outdid him in terms of contribution. No one ever outdid him in terms of intellect, character, dedication, and just a spectacular human being and a spectacular example.
Lugar persevered and gained seniority. He was chairman of the Agriculture Committee and led the Senate Foreign Relations Committee twice. And with his seat safe at home, he started thinking bigger, launching a campaign for president in 1995.
I come to declare that I am a candidate for President of the United States.
The presidential campaign fizzled, but the senator as statesman was just getting started. He co-sponsored the Nunn-Lugar Cooperative Threat Reduction Program that has dismantled more than 8,000 nuclear warheads over the last 3 decades. I traveled with him in 2002 on one of his many trips to Russia.
Anyone who has seen what one of these warheads could do, namely obliterate the entire city of Indianapolis.
But as he concentrated on foreign affairs, Lugar lost some of the connection he had with Indiana voters. He lost in the 2012 primary as he ran for a 7th term. He retired from the Senate at age 80, with the longest service record in Congress in Indiana history, in the top 20 nationwide, and a role model for the ages.
If you look around, look in Washington or in the State House, and you look at people and you say, who would you want your son or daughter to be like when they grow up? You could look at Dick Lugar and say, that's how you should be.
Although he was reportedly under consideration for Secretary of State several times over the years, Dick Lugar stayed in the Senate for 6 terms and made a huge impact on foreign affairs from there. He helped make the world a safer place, not just for Hoosiers, but for everyone.
Very true. And it's not just what Richard Lugar accomplished, but how he did it, how he impacted people along the way. Our political reporter, Kevin Rader, in studio tonight. And Kevin, I know you talked with some people today about that legacy.
Yeah, I did, Jenny. This is a hard one to get through today. As you might expect, reactions are pouring in from Washington, D.C. to all over Indiana. We caught up with 2 Hoosiers who knew the senator very well.
Well, Dick Lugar is one of the iconic figures in Indiana and national politics in the last several decades, generation. He was a superb American political figure. I think of Dick as having very high intelligence and impeccable integrity.
His mark is on the city. I mean, he started a trajectory for this city that made it stronger and better than ever. And then he carried that same commitment to public service, of course, to all those years he was in the United States Senate and influenced our state, the nation, and clearly the world.
Yeah, Teresa Lubbers cut her political teeth when Lugar was mayor, as did former Governor Mitch Daniels. Mitch Daniels released this statement now saying his voice is now silent, but he's still with us. Indianapolis is a thriving and vibrant city because of him. The world is safer from nuclear danger because of him. And so many of us, while falling short of the standards he set, are vastly better people because of him. And Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb says, quote, "The world weeps alongside Indiana after just learning we lost one of our best ever."
So very true. And Kevin, I know this is personal for you too. You worked with Senator Lugar in both of your careers.
Yeah, you know, it's, I think of what Indiana's lost in, say, the last month with Birch Bayh and Dick Lugar. We have seen two giants, two Indiana political giants pass. And they both deserve their time. I think there's a ceremony coming up for Birch Bayh soon. And so this is a night maybe to give these two men their due. They certainly deserve it.
They definitely do. They impacted all of us. All right, Kevin, thank you for your insight tonight. And the amount of support that's pouring in for Senator Lugar shows just how big an impact he had. We have much more reaction from senators, members of Congress, people who knew Lugar online on WTHR.com. That's also where you can read more about his historic career serving Indiana.